The year is 132 BCE. The vast empire of the Han dynasty stretches like a dragon across China. Its eyes are on distant lands, its claws already reaching for the riches of Central Asia. At its heart sits Cheng'an. It's a city so opulent it's called the Rome of the East, where silk is spun, spices flow, and fortunes are built on trade as far away as India. But the emperor's gaze, well, it's not in his capital. It's fixed on Xiongnu, a nomadic tribe resisting his empire's expansion. He wants them crushed. Enter Wei Zefu, the future empress. She's part of the imperial clan, but right now, she's far from the spotlight. We don't know much about her early life, just that her father lost favor with the emperor. So she and her family moved to a humble village to escape the intrigues of the court. Think of her as a peasant's daughter, dreaming small dreams, probably not about ruling the empire. But fate, it seems, has grander plans. She catches the eye of a powerful general named Huo Qubing, known for his victories against the Xiongnu. He sees potential in her, not just as a woman, but as a tool to control the very heart of the empire. Soon, she's in the palace, a consort to the young heir apparent. Her stepmother, a former beauty, has already secured her position at court. Now Wei Zefu must prove herself in a world of shifting loyalties, palace intrigue, and the constant threat of Xiongnu raids. Meanwhile, the emperor grows old, his health failing. The question isn't who will succeed him, but who will influence the successor. The answer, of course, is power. And two women are vying for it, the Empress Dowager, the mother of the heir apparent, and our protagonist, Wei Zefu. Once the emperor dies, the battle for influence begins. Consorts are nothing more than pawns in a game of thrones. The Empress Dowager knows this, but Wei Zefu, she's about to learn. She loses her first child, a son, and soon after. Her husband is sent to a pointless campaign against the Xiongnu, a move clearly orchestrated by the Empress Dowager. See, she doesn't want competition, she wants total control. Wei Zefu is banished from the capital with her infant daughter. She's stripped of titles, jewelry, and most importantly, her status as a player in the game of power. But while the Empress Dowager thinks she's won, Wei Zefu is plotting. She awaits her moment. Back in the palace, the young heir apparent is proving difficult, defying the Empress Dowager's wishes. Enter Wei Zefu, now a picture of composure. She uses her personal connection to the heir apparent, her daughter's place as a potential bride, and her own imperial blood to slowly shift the balance of power. By 129 BCE, she's back in the capital, no longer the pawn, but the player. She becomes the favorite of the young emperor. Together, they undo the Empress Dowager's policies, reintegrating the Xiongnu into the empire, much to the chagrin of powerful officials who have vested interests in keeping the old policies in place. Wei Zefu's influence is solidified when she gives birth to a healthy son. The heir is secure, the empress is out of the way. The empire is stable once more. But what of the Xiongnu, the nomads who've resisted the empire for decades? Some call her Empress Wu, others call her the Wolf Queen, and both names fit. Like the wolf that rules its pack, she led her people with intelligence and strength. Unlike the wolf, though, she also understood the value of strategy and patience. Her battles weren't decided on the front lines, were won in the halls of power and in the minds of her enemies. That's why she's called Empress Ruthless. She played her rivals against each other, manipulated borders and treaties, and when necessary, unleashed her armies with surgical precision. No dynasty before hers had embraced such hard power alongside soft power, but it worked. Her empire flourished, trade routes expanded, and the Silk Road, a testament to her rule, thrived under her successors. People forget that empires are fragile things and need constant tending, not just in times of war. She understood that better than anyone. In the end, her story is a challenge to everything you thought you knew about power. She wasn't born to rule, but she didn't let that stop her. She wasn't a warrior queen, yet she led armies to victory. She wasn't just a pretty face, but she understood the value of appearances. If history remembers her as ruthless, it's because she broke the rules. And those who play by the rules, well, they don't make history. And if you want to know more about her, I have a surprise for you. Click here to watch our full series on the legendary Empress Wu. Behind every great fortune, there's a tragic past. Every towering empire was built on someone's suffering. Every king's fortune was built on blood and bone. But sometimes, it's the shadows of these stories that reveal the truest nature of power. It's in the whispers of forgotten victims that we hear the silent screams of history. When Genghis Khan seized the Mongol tribes and united them under one banner, he did not just forge an empire, he forged it in fire. Villages were razed, rivals put to the sword, and entire clans enslaved or scattered. Under his banner, loyalty was earned through blood and iron. Yet even in the darkest corners of his empire, there was a whisper of defiance. A young girl named Sorghaghtani, born into the noble tribe of the Naimans, watched as her father, the chieftain, argued with Genghis. He spoke of peace, of unity, of a future where the tribes could thrive without war. But Genghis was deaf to these pleas. He wanted submission, not camaraderie. And when the Naiman leaders refused to bend the knee, he unleashed the full force of his fury. Villagers were slaughtered, women taken as booty, and Sorghaghtani, barely a teenager, found herself alone, an orphan in a sea of grief. In that moment, her life's purpose crystallized. She would survive, not for herself, but to carry the torch of her people's memory. With the cunning of youth and the ferocity of one betrayed, she vanished into the vastness of the Mongol Empire. For years her whereabouts were unknown, a mystery that gnawed at the hearts of her people. Some said she died in the attack, her spirit lost among the ruins of her homeland. Others claimed she was taken as a slave, her fate worse than death. But both stories were wrong. Meanwhile, Genghis Khan, atop the mountain of his conquests, planned his next moves. The whispers of rebellion echoed faintly at the edges of his empire, but he paid them no heed. As the saying goes, when a king hears the whispers of revolt, he should either crush the rumors or embrace the change. Genghis chose to ignore it, believing his empire invincible. Yet the universe has a way of balancing scales. Genghis didn't just die. He died facing the one foe he never saw coming, the elements. While campaigning in the West, he fell ill and died. Some say from a fever, others claim from a wound. But whatever the cause, he left his empire to his son Ogday. It was during Ogai's reign that Sorghaghtani re-emerged. She returned to the tribal lands, now a shadow of their former selves, and rallied the survivors. She spoke of vengeance, of reclaiming their lost lands, and toppling the Mongol yoke. Her words ignited a fire in the hearts of the oppressed. She became their Khan, not by birthright, but by the strength of her will, leading raids against Mongol supply lines, gathering warriors from neighboring tribes, striking terror into the hearts of those who wore the Mongol insignia. Her army grew, her legend grew, and the whispers became a roar. Genghis might have thought he'd extinguished the flame of rebellion, but Sorghaghtani proved that some fires cannot be put out. As the Mongol Empire stretched from the Pacific to the Baltic, it left a bloody trail of broken cultures, shattered families, and stolen futures. Yet amidst the ruins, a new power was rising. The story of Sorghaghtani reminds us that empires, no matter how vast, are built on the backs of the unheard. It's in the silence of the victims that we find the roots of rebellion. And it's in the voices of those who dared to speak back that we hear the echoes of an empire's fall. History remembers Genghis Khan, the conqueror, but forgets Sorghaghtani, the liberator. Yet her story is more than a footnote. It's a testament to the indomitable spirit of those who refuse to be silenced. Before we begin, let me ask you a question. What makes a ruler truly powerful? Is it the love of their people, the justice they dispense, or perhaps the respect they earn from rivals? In our stories today, we often celebrate rulers as noble figures, strategic commanders, or enlightened despots. But what about the rulers who gained power not through charm or charisma, but through the sheer force of terror? Welcome to my channel, where we bring you the craziest and darkest tales from human history. In the grand theater of history, few acts are as chilling as the rise of a ruler whose power is built entirely on fear. Today we delve into the unsettling tale of a queen whose reign was a testament to the power of fear. Her story is a stark reminder that in the game of power, sometimes the most effective strategy is to ensure that your enemies are too afraid to make a move. The queen's journey to power was a slow burn. She ascended to the throne not with a roar, but with the quiet determination that would become her trademark. Her rise was marked not by popular acclaim, but by the subtle maneuvering that characterized her reign. Her subjects didn't initially adore her. In fact, they were rather indifferent. To them, she was an outsider, a woman who didn't quite fit into the mold of the typical ruler. She wasn't born into privilege. She didn't have a charismatic personality, and she didn't win the hearts of her people with grand gestures. Instead, she used her intellect, ruthlessness, and a keen understanding of human psychology to secure her position. Her enemies underestimated her because they saw a woman who seemed too meek to be a threat. They didn't realize that beneath her calm exterior, she was a force of nature. Her greatest strength was also her most controversial trait, her ability to inspire terror. She wielded fear like a weapon, crushing dissent and quelling rebellions with an iron fist. Her opponents felt the full force of her wrath, serving as cautionary tales for anyone who dared to cross her. As the years passed, her reputation as a ruthless leader grew. Her name became synonymous with the dark arts of power. People whispered tales of her iron-fisted rule, of her cunning strategies, and of the lengths she went to secure her dominance. But the turning point of her reign was the rebellion. It was a direct challenge to her authority, a test of her power. At first, the odds were stacked against her. Her enemies were numerous, their resources were vast, and their determination was unwavering. But the queen remained calm amidst the chaos. She strategized, she maneuvered, and she played the waiting game. When the time was right, she struck back. Her counterattack was swift and brutal. She crushed the rebellion, sending a shiver down the spines of her adversaries. The rebellion was not just a challenge to her rule, it was a wake-up call. It forced the queen to confront the limits of her power, the strength of her enemies, and the depths of her own cunning. In the aftermath of the rebellion, the queen emerged as a changed ruler. She had tasted the bitterness of challenge and the thrill of victory. And from that point forward, she ruled with an unyielding determination. The entire kingdom trembled before her, not because they loved her, but because they feared her. She was the embodiment of power unchecked. A ruler who climbed to the pinnacle of authority by mastering the art of instilling fear. Throughout history, many rulers have donned the crown, but few have held it as precariously as the queen. Her story is a stark reminder that power isn't always about popularity or prestige. Sometimes it's about instilling such fear that no one dares challenge your rule. The queen's story echoes through the corridors of history, a haunting melody of power and fear. As we close this chapter on her extraordinary life, remember that her story is not merely a tale of terror, but a study in survival and the lengths one can go to secure their place in the grand theater of power. So what do you think? How far would you go to secure your place in power? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the darker side of history. If you enjoyed this episode and want to continue exploring the intricate world of history's most intriguing figures, subscribe for more updates. Until next time, stay curious, stay thoughtful, and remember, history is not just about the victors. It's also about the villains who shaped our world in ways we cannot ignore. In the grand tapestry of history, the actions of a single individual can shift the very fabric of society. One such person was the Widow Queen, whose story was a blend of tragedy, ambition, and the relentless pursuit of justice. This extraordinary tale will be the focus of our discussion today. But before we delve into the depths of her story, we kindly ask for your support. Please take a moment to subscribe so that you don't miss out on any of our captivating historical tales. When King Louis XV breathed his last breath, he left behind a kingdom on the brink of collapse. The year was 1574, and France found itself at a perilous crossroads. Rival factions clamored for power, nobles schemed in the shadows, and the very foundations of the monarchy seemed to be crumbling. Amidst this chaos emerged Isabella of the House of Bourbon, the king's widow. On the surface, she appeared to be a mere bystander, a grieving spouse caught in the turbulence of the French succession crisis. However, beneath her composed demeanor, a different kind of strength was stirring. You see, from the moment her husband, King Louis XV, died, Isabella's life took an unexpected turn. She found herself in a precarious position. The year before, Louis XV had breathed his last, leaving behind a power vacuum that attracted ambitious nobles and contenders from neighboring countries. Everyone wanted a piece of the action, except Isabella. At that point, few paid attention to her. She was just the widow, right? Well, not exactly. As the weeks turned into months, something remarkable happened. Isabella began to flex her muscles. She started making moves that shocked the French nobility. She negotiated alliances, issued decrees, and even assembled her own army. All eyes were on her, wondering what her next move would be. Some thought she was merely a puppet, dancing to the tunes of the real power players. Others sensed that she was orchestrating her own game. Then came the pivotal moment that revealed the true extent of her ambitions. Isabella ascended to the throne. Now the world sat up and took notice. The timid widow had transformed into a formidable queen, determined to carve her own path in a male-dominated world. The queen, however, faced a mountain of challenges. Rebel nobles sought to undermine her authority. Foreign powers tested her resolve, and skeptics both inside and outside the kingdom questioned her ability to lead. Yet through it all, Isabella stood firm. She played the Game of Thrones better than anyone had anticipated. With each passing day, she proved her doubters wrong. She made strategic alliances, crushed rebellions, and asserted her dominance. Her reign was marked by decisive action and an unwavering commitment to justice. As the years went by, Isabella's legend grew. Her courage, intelligence, and determination became the stuff of folklore. She wasn't just a queen. She was a force to be reckoned with. Yet amidst her triumphs, a shadow loomed. Isabella's rise to power had been swift and unexpected, but it had also been lonely. Those who had once celebrated her victories now feared her strength. Isabella found herself isolated on the throne, surrounded by enemies who resented her success. The weight of the crown had turned many against her, and the queen was left to face her challenges alone. Undeterred, Isabella continued to rule with an iron fist. She understood that her position was tenuous and that her enemies were waiting for her to falter. So she worked tirelessly to secure her power base, crushing opposition and consolidating her control over the kingdom. She knew that in the Game of Thrones, there is no room for mercy. And so the tale of the widow queen serves as a potent reminder that history is not always what it seems. Sometimes the quietest voices can become the loudest, and the most underestimated individuals can rise to become the most formidable rulers. Thank you for joining us on this journey through time. We've uncovered the extraordinary tale of the Widow Queen, a monarch who defied expectations and carved her own path to power. But our journey through history does not end here. There are countless more tales waiting to be explored, and we invite you to join us on this adventure. Before you go, please remember to subscribe. And if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like. Your support means the world to us. Welcome to my channel. This is the story of a queen whose name was erased from history books. Everyone calls her the Ice Queen, but her real name was Elena. Elena was known throughout the land as the Ice Queen. Now, people didn't call her that because she was cold-hearted. No, they called her that because she wore a beautiful white gown made of pure ice wherever she went. And not just that, a single tear of hers froze upon landing on the ground, creating a beautiful shard that shone like a diamond. You might be wondering why she wore that dress. Well, it's because Elena was cursed. And the saddest part is that she was cursed by her own mother. See, before becoming the Ice Queen, Elena was a kind and cheerful princess. She loved playing with water. She would jump into rivers and feel the cool water all over her body. One day, her mother found her playing in a lake. As any mother would, she got angry at her daughter for getting all wet. And even though Elena apologized, her mother punished her by saying that from that day on, she would always be cold. Elena didn't listen. She kept playing in the lakes and rivers, enjoying the feeling of water on her skin. But then one day she felt the cold. It started as a small shiver, but soon she couldn't control herself. Her whole body froze. She fell to the ground and turned into an ice sculpture. Seeing her like that, her mother realized that she had hurt her daughter too much. So she approached her and gave her a kiss. But unfortunately, it wasn't a kiss of love, but a curse of hate. Because of that, Elena turned into a beautiful but emotionless Ice Queen. Forever wearing a gown made of ice and a crown of snow, one day the Ice Queen decided to go out of her kingdom for the first time. People saw her coming and ran away in terror. Some say she looked like a monster. Others said she must have come to freeze the entire land. But none could have imagined what she wanted. Deep in the forest, the Ice Queen found a small lake. She looked at it and remembered when she used to play there. Without thinking twice, she took off her coat and jumped in. The warm water melted the icy shell covering her body, and the Ice Queen became a beautiful young woman once again. But she didn't feel like celebrating. No, she couldn't help but cry. And as each tear hit the ground, they froze into shards of ice. When the Ice Queen noticed this, she felt scared. But then she calmed down and continued crying. She cried tears of joy for being human again, tears of sadness for losing her kingdom, and tears of anger at how her own mother had treated her. She cried so much that a big puddle formed under her and froze as quickly as her tears hit the surface. But something strange happened. The Ice Queen looked closely and saw her own reflection inside. It wasn't the reflection of a sad woman, but the reflection of a powerful queen. It was as if all her feelings, pain, anger, sadness, hope, and love, were now part of her, making her stronger than before. In that moment, the Ice Queen knew what she had to do. She embraced her powers and set off to reclaim her kingdom. On the way, she met a handsome prince who immediately fell in love with her. He asked her to marry him, but she refused. The Ice Queen was still too powerful and too dangerous. Also, deep down, she knew that she didn't need a prince to be happy. She could rule on her own. She returned to her castle and appeared before her subjects. Everyone was terrified, but the Ice Queen didn't care. She told them that her mother had cursed her and that she was only human for a few hours each day. Then she declared that she would use her powers wisely and fairly ruled the kingdom alongside the prince. They had 2 children and lived happily ever after. Now, every year, the kingdom celebrates the Ice Festival in honor of their amazing queen. And though we don't know her real name, we do know that no one deserves to be called the Ice Queen except her. We hope you enjoyed this story. And if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. So share your ideas for future stories in the comments below. We're eager to hear your thoughts. Finally, remember to subscribe so you never miss out on our magical tales. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.